Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So today we are going to see about rectum and anal canal, which is actually a very important topic in anatomy. So let's go. This video is actually not very much informative. It's better to see this after you read your books once, because I'm just doing it as a part of my revision for me to revise better so that I can retain it better. So for the first time learners, I advise you to read it once and then come, or listen to your class lectures and then watch this, because it's actually not a first time video thing. Okay, let's get started. So we are going to see about rectum. What is rectum? Rectum is nothing but the large intestine, the distal part of the large gut that is going to form the rectum. So it is placed between the sigmoid colon above and the anal canal below. So first the sigmoid colon comes from the large intestine, and then it forms the rectum, and the rectum continues as the anal canal. Okay, so this distension, when this rectum gets distended, we get the desired retificate. Okay, rectum is not straight, as you may expect it to be straight one, but it's not actually straight. It's curved in both anterior posterior direction and also in the lateral and medial direction. So there are actually two anterior posterior curves and three lateral curves. Let's come to that part later. And now, starting situation, the rectum is situated in the posterior part of the lesser pelvis, that's in front of the lower three pieces of sacrum and the coccyx. So you have the sacral vertebrae and the coccyx vertebrae. So it's in front of the lower three pieces of the sacrum vertebrae and in front of the coccyx. Okay, so where does this rectum extend? So we are going to see generally in anatomy, when you write an answer, you should be saying some basic things, right? So what are the general features, where it is situated, how it is going to extend, what are the dimensions of rectum, what are the course and direction of the rectum, and then we have what are the relations, what are the peritoneal relations, what are the visceral relations, and what are the features of it. It has each and every organ has a specific feature. So for rectum we have mucosal folds and what are the functional parts, and then after saying these brief things, you have to write about the arterial supply, what are the blood supply and the nerve supply. Arterial supply, the venous drainage. You have to also write about the lymphatics, the nerve supply, and if it is an organ in abdomen, it has to have some supports. You have to write about the supports. And clinical anatomy, it is important, that fetches you some extra marks. So let's see that topic by topic. So we now seeing the extent of rectum. A rectum begins as a continuation of sigmoid colon at the level of the third sacral vertebrae. It's between the rectosigmoid junction and the anorectal junction, right? So rectosigmoid junction is indicated by the lower end of the sigmoid mesocolon. The rectum ends by becoming continuous with the anal canal at the anorectal junction. So the anorectal junction is going to be 2 to 3 centimeters in front of the tip of coccyx. Okay, and also in males, if you see, the junction corresponds to the apex of prostate. This anorectal junction has two important points that you must note down. So it is going to be 2 to 3 centimeters in front of the tip of coccyx, and it is also going to correspond to the apex of prostate in male. Okay, and if you see the dimensions, this rectum is 12 centimeters long. In its upper part, this is the length. If you see the diameter, in its upper part, it is having this 4 centimeter diameter, which is same as the sigmoid colon from which it is continued as. But as it goes down, it becomes dilated to form the rectal ampulla. The lower dilated part of rectum is called rectal ampulla. Seeing the course and direction, in its course, rectum first. So actually, it's not a straight one. We have already seen that it's not straight. It is having some curves. The curves of rectum are anterior posterior curves and the lateral curves. Okay, so in its course, the rectum runs first downwards and backwards, and it's coming backward and finally downward and forward. Okay, let's see the curves. You have to write about the two curves, two anterior posterior curves and the lateral curves. Anterior posterior curves, if for seeing that, the sacral flexure of rectum follows the concavity of sacrum and coccyx. The perineal flexure of the rectum is the backward bend at the anorectal junction. So you have two flexures, the sacral flexure and the perineal flexure. So the sacral flexure is also following the concavity that is present in the sacrum and the coccyx, and the perineal flexure of rectum is nothing but it's a backward bend or the anorectal junction. So these are the two anterior posterior curves. Okay, this is the anterior and posterior direction. The bend is there in the anterior direction and the posterior direction, and we have three lateral curves. Okay, the first is a lateral curve, and the second one is going to be a lateral curve and the lower lateral curve. Okay, all three are lateral curves, but you have to see the convexity. So in the first one, the upper lateral is convex to right. The second one, the middle lateral, is convex to the left, and the last one, the lower lateral, becomes convex to the right. So of the three lateral curves, upper and the last are convex to the right, and the middle one is going to be convex to the left. This is the thing, and this is a very well defined diagram of the rectum. So if you see in this diagram, this is going to be the rectum, and this is the last three sacral vertebrae, S3, S4, S5. You know that there are five sacral vertebrae, and coccyx, so it is present in front of them. And this anorectal junction is going to correspond to the tip of prostate. We have seen that is in males. And this is, you have the perineal membrane, urethra, and the perineal body, and separating the urinary bladder separated from the rectum by retrovesical pouch. This is an important point. Okay, now let's continue. So this is we have seen the basic thing. Now let's go for the relations. When writing relations, there are two things: the peritoneal relations and the visceral relations. So peritoneal relations, seeing that you can divide rectum into three parts: upper one third, middle one third, and lower one third. Upper one third is covered with peritoneum in the front and in sides. You can see this diagram for reference. It's covered with peritoneum on the front and also on the sides. The middle one third is covered only on the front, and the lower one third is completely devoid of peritoneum. That's what given here. Okay, this upper one third is covered with peritoneum in front and sides. Middle one third is covered only in the front. The lower one third is dilated from the rectal ampulla, which we saw earlier while studying about the diameter, and is devoid of peritoneum and lies below the rectovesical pouch in males and below the rectouterine pouch in female. The distance between the anus and the floor of the pouch is 7.5 centimeters in male and only 5.5 centimeters in female. So as you know, because in males the distance is longer because of the presence of the glands of male. So the distance between the anus and the floor of the pouch of this rectum is going to be 7.5, whereas in females it's 5.5. Okay, now these are going to be these are the peritoneal relations. And now writing about the visceral relations. Visceral relations are different anterior. The anterior relations are different. That's different in the male and the female. And posterior is just going to be the same. So anterior relations, coming to that, the upper two-thirds of the rectum are related to the rectovesical pouch with coils of intestine and sigmoid column. You know that we already saw the urinary bladder is separated from the rectum by rectovesical pouch in males, and in female that is rectouterine pouch. So upper two-thirds of the rectum, you see the diagram here, it is covered with it's related to the rectovesical pouch, and that has the coils of intestine and sigmoid column. Okay, and the lower one third of the rectum is related to the base of urinary bladder, the terminal part of the ureter, the seminal vesicles, the different ductules, and the prostate. If you see the anterior relation in female, the upper two-thirds of the rectum are related to the rectouterine pouch with coils of intestine and sigmoid colon. Same as that, it's related to the pouch and coils of intestine and sigmoid colon. The pouch separates the rectum from the uterus and from the upper part of vagina. The lower one third is related to the lower part of vagina. Here the lower one third was related to the base of urinary bladder, terminal parts of all the male structures like the ureters, seminal vesicles, different ductules, and prostate. Here it's just related to the lower part of vagina. Okay, these are going to be the anterior relations in male and in a female. So now coming posteriorly, the relations are same in male. The posterior relations are just same because the genitalia are there only anteriorly. Posteriorly is all same. So posteriorly we saw in the earlier diagram the last over three pieces of sacrum, coccyx, and you also have a ligament that is called as anococcygeal ligament, and you have some muscles there, the piriformis, coccygeus, and levator ani. The median sacral, superior rectal, and lower lateral sacral vessels, these are going to be the vessels, the blood vessels, which are present posteriorly of that. And you also have a sympathetic chain that's called as ganglion impart. Okay, now coming to the feature of that is an important character of the rectum. You have mucosal folds. So rectum are going to be the mucous membrane of empty rectum. When you see rectum which is not distended and which is empty, it has two types of folds, a longitudinal fold and a transverse fold. So longitudinal fold, if you see, that's very transitory. They are present in the empty rectum, they are present in the lower part, and they're obliterated by distension. When the rectum gets filled with feces and when it's distended, the longitudinal folds disappear. Whereas transverse or horizontal fold, or it's also called as Houston's walls or plicae transversales. So it's having a lot of names like transverse or horizontal fold, Houston's walls, or plicae transversals. These are permanent folds, not like longitudinal fold which are transitory. These are permanent and they are more marked when rectum is distended, whereas longitudinal is marked when the rectum is empty and it disappears when the rectum is distended. But here it's more present when the rectum is distended. Okay, so you have transverse folds. The first transverse fold is near the upper end of the rectum and projects from the left wall situated 7.5 cm above the anus. Sometimes it may encircle and partially constrict the lumen. So the first, it actually is going to be present in the upper end. So that's actually from the anus, it is 7.5 cm above. The second fold is going to be the largest and it is going to be the most constant of all the folds. Okay, it's going to be the largest and the most constant fold. and it is the upper end of the rectal ampulla. You know the lower part becomes dilated from the ampulla. So the second transverse fold is there at the upper end of rectal ampulla and projects from the anterior and right walls. The third transverse fold, which is inconstant, lies 2.5 centimeters below the third fold and projects, I mean it's not third fold, that's anal canal, and projects from the left wall. Okay, we have three folds actually: the first transverse fold, the second transverse fold, and the third transverse fold. The first is actually 7.5 centimeter above the anus and it's there at the upper end of the rectum. The second is the largest and is the most constant. It lies at the upper end of the rectal ampulla, and the third one is 2.5 centimeter from the anus and projects from the left wall. Okay, now let us see about the functional parts of rectum. So rectum has two developmental parts. Upper part related to peritoneum, we have the upper one third and the middle one third, which are related to the peritoneum. It develops from the hindgut and lies about the third transverse fold of rectum. So you have three transverse folds, right? So the part which is above the third transverse fold, which is covered with peritoneum, so that is actually developed from the hindgut. The lower part, which is devoid of peritoneum, develops from the cloaca and lies below the third transverse fold. So you must learn this. So it's actually interesting one. You have three transverse folds, and the one which is above the part of the rectum, which is above the third transverse fold is developing from the hindgut. So that's somewhat related to the peritoneum, whereas the part of the rectum which is below the third transverse fold is actually developed from the cloaca. Okay, functionally the sigmoid colon is the fecal reservoir and the whole of the rectum is empty in normal individuals, being sensitive to distension. Passage of feces into the rectum therefore causes the reservoir to defecate. Okay, this is a simple and easy thing. When coming to the these are the transverse folds diagram. Sorry, I didn't mention that while studying about that. Okay, so this is going to be the first transverse fold, the second transverse fold, and this is the third transverse fold. First is there at the upper end of the rectum. Second is going to be the upper end of the rectal ampulla here. This is the rectal ampulla, and this is the upper end. You have the second transverse fold. This is the trans. So first is developing from the hindgut. This is developing from the cloaca. Okay, and yeah, this is going to be this is a section fold. This is the first, this is the second and third, and this is how the lumen is going to be. Okay, now let us see about the arterial supply of the rectum. Superior rectal artery, this is the chief artery of the rectum. So this superior rectal artery, if you see, when you write about the blood supply, you have to write about the arterial supply and the venous drainage. Okay, coming with the arterial supply, the rectum is supplied by the superior rectal artery. The name itself implies it's supplying the rectum. Yeah, it is the chief artery of the rectum. That is actually the continuation of inferior mesenteric artery. Yeah, the inferior mesenteric artery comes and continues the superior rectal artery at the pelvic brim, which is medial to the left ureter. Okay, it lies in the medial limb of pelvic mesocolon and divides opposite the third sacral vertebrae into right and left branches which run on each side of the rectum. Okay, then each branch, you have the right and left branches, breaks up at the middle of the rectum into several small branches which pierce the muscular cords and run in anal columns up to the anal walls where they form looped anastomosis. This is the superior rectal artery. So it's very simple. So it's actually, if you see, this is a chief artery and this is a continuation of inferior mesenteric artery at the it's coming, and with the pelvic brim medial to the left ureter, it is going to form this superior rectal artery. It lies in the medial limb of pelvic mesocolon and it's going to divide opposite the third sacral vertebrae into right and left branches, and these branches are further going to divide into many smaller branches which is going to pierce the muscular cords of it. Then you have the middle rectal arteries. So they supply only the superficial coats of the lower rectum. Superior rectal artery is going to supply almost the superior part. When it comes to the inferior lower part, that is the middle rectal artery. So these supply only the superficial coats of lower rectum. They arise from the anterior division of interior iliac artery, run in lateral ligaments of rectum and supply the muscle coats of the lower part of the rectum. Okay, and then at last you have the median sacral artery. This is a small branch arising from the back of the aorta near its lower end. So that's the part of abdominal aorta. It descends in the median plane and supplies the posterior wall of the anorectal junction. Yeah, that is the arterial supply. Just write about the three arteries and some points related to them. And when it comes to venous drainage, you have the superior rectal vein, the middle rectal vein, and the median sacral vein. So it's like very much related to the artery. You have the superior rectal artery, middle rectal artery, and median sacral artery. The veins are corresponding to the arteries. The tributaries of this vein begin in the anal canal from the internal rectal venous plexus. So actually the veins form plexus. So this superior rectal vein, it comes from the internal rectal venous plexus in the form of about three veins of considerable size. They pass upward in the rectal submucosa, pierce the muscular cords about 7.5 centimeters above the anus, and unite to form the superior rectal vein. And then you have the middle rectal vein. The tributaries of this vein drain chiefly the muscular walls of rectal ampulla and open into the internal iliac veins. The ampulla is the lower part, so middle rectal vein is going to mostly drain the muscular walls of rectal ampulla and is going to open into the internal iliac vein. Median sacral vein, it joins with the left common iliac vein. Okay, and then comes to lymphatics. Yeah, this is a well defined image which is given BDC for you to understand the blood supply of rectum. Yeah, and then this is another diagram for the lymphatic drainage. When it comes to lymphatics form more than lymphatics from more than upper half from more so I'm sorry so lymphatics from more than upper half of the rectum pass along the superior rectal vessels to inferior mesenteric nodes after passing through the pararectal and sigmoid nodes. So more from a larger part of the rectum, which is more than the upper half, the lymphatics from that part, they pass along the superior rectal vessels to the inferior mesenteric node, right? Here you can have a type of clue, which actually the superior rectal artery is a branch of inferior mesenteric artery. This is going along the superior rectal vessels, superior rectal artery and the vein, and it ends in this inferior mesenteric node. Okay, after passing, it's passing before ending in the inferior mesenteric node. It's actually passed into the pararectal and sigmoid nodes. And lymphatics from the lower half of the rectum pass along the middle rectal vessels to the internal iliac nodes. Okay. And then you have lymphatics in the lower part of the anal canal drain into superficial inguinal nodes. Yeah, that's all. And coming to the nerve supply, the rectum is supplied by both sympathetic as well as parasympathetic nerves, because through those you have plexus in the body, mostly at the abdomen and the pelvis. You have a lot of plexus through the superior rectal or inferior mesenteric or and inferior hypogastric plexus. This is the plexus going to form it. Coming to the sympathetic nerves are vasoconstrictor. They inhibit the rectal musculature and motor to the internal sphincter, and parasympathetic nerves are motor to the musculature of the rectum and inhibitory to the internal sphincter. Okay, so this is going to happen here. And yeah, sensations are going to be along the parasympathetic nerve. Pain sensations are, whereas pain sensations are carried by both sympathetic as well as parasympathetic nerves. Rectum has some supports. The supports are pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is formed by the levator ani muscles and the fascia of Waldeyer. It attaches to the lower part of the rectal ampulla. This fascia of Waldeyer is a fascia that attaches the lower part of the rectal ampulla to the sacrum. So this is giving a support to the rectum by attaching the lower part of the rectal ampulla to the sacrum. It is formed by condensation of pelvic fascia. This fascia is a condensation of pelvic fascia behind the rectum. So it encloses the superior rectal vessels and the lymphatics. Okay, and we have some lateral ligaments of rectum. They are formed by condensation of pelvic fascia on each side of the rectum. They enclose the middle rectal vessels and branches of the pelvic plexus and attach the rectum to the posterior lateral walls of lesser pelvis. And you have another support that's called the rectovesical fascia of Renon Villiers. It extends from the rectum behind the seminal vesicles and prostate in front. And you have pelvic peritoneum and related vascular pedicles also help in keeping the rectum in position. Also you have perineal body with its muscles, which is going to give support. Actually, when it comes to support, remember you have 6 points: the pelvic floor, the fascia of Waldeyer, which is nothing but the condensation of pelvic fascia behind the rectum, and you have lateral ligaments of rectum, which are also the condensation of the pelvic fascia on each side of the rectum. So this fascia of Waldeyer was behind the rectum, and this fascia lateral ligaments of rectum are the condensations lateral to the rectum. Okay, so they enclose the middle rectal vessels and the branch of pelvic plexus and so on. And then we have the fourth one. This is the rectovesical fascia of Renon Villiers. It extends from the rectum behind the seminal vesicles and prostate in front. And then you have the pelvic peritoneum and related vascular pedicles, and then you have perineal body. So this was all about rectum, so which is very easy and a simple thing to understand. So thanks for watching. Thank you.